All right, so far we drew our circle, we have our horizontal line through the center, we marked with our protractor every X number of degrees, I did 30 degrees, and then we drew some additional circles out from that same center point, okay? Now comes the fun part, which is picking out some patterns. There's no rules, you can do whatever you want. So I just gave a couple example patterns here that you can see, if that gives you some ideas. And again, if you want to jot any of these ideas down, feel free. It doesn't matter what you do though, as long as it's a repetitive pattern and you've got radial symmetry on the mandala. So I picked a few of those patterns that you saw, and if you go from left to right, top to bottom, you can see how I added one pattern at a time, and you use the grid marks just to kind of make things even and make sure you have enough space for your pattern. So the first one I chose kind of looks like a parenthesis mark, and I just repeated that over and over and over on the full circle. And then from there, I just did like an oval or ovoid shape from the middle little divot, and again, one around the full circle. Centered through line connecting the points in the bottom, and just did some little bubbles. You can just see I would continue to add a dot or a line or a little piece one bit at a time over and over and over, just kind of adding each time. So here's my mandala that I did during my planning period today. It took about, I don't know, 4 minutes. So but you can see how just adding little pieces at a time, even though it's all like lines and dots and circles, it kind of makes something look kind of cool in a short amount of time. What do you do if you have a student who, even though you do the direct instruction, and then you do one together, we do it, so I'm doing it and you guys are doing it at the same time. And then, partners pair up or groups of 4 and everyone kind of works on one doing it together. And then it comes time to individualize, and you have students that can't do it on their own, even though you went through that whole gradual release of responsibility. It's going to happen, okay? So it doesn't matter how good of a teacher you are, you're going to have students who can't do whatever it is, and you're going to be like, well, this is the easiest thing in the world. I don't know why they can't do it. And I did this and that and this and that to prepare them. It speaks nothing to you as a teacher. It's just that there's always going to be students who are below or above average in whatever you're doing. So what can we do to help support those students? One thing is, in this particular activity, we could use a grid that's already pre-made. And in fact, if you'd like a grid that's already pre-made, I can give you one. That just takes out part of that process if that's tedious or if that's too much work or if it's too time consuming or whatever the difficulty may be. Even with that, you might have other students who it's still just not going to happen for them. So maybe there's some kind of assistive technology that exists out there. There usually is, to help. And it's our job to make sure that we are not forgetting that there are kids that need these things. Because that's part of our job too, is teaching those kids, even if it's difficult. All right, so this is the other way to use Camtasia, right? Just recording your voice over the presentation, which is kind of cool. And you can do it in your pajamas, so that's a bonus. But again, you can use this as part of a station if you're doing some station teaching, where you still are able to get some direct instruction in, even if you're not actually there. Or we have a lot of teachers who use this too if they have a sub and they don't want to like waste a class day. Sometimes when you have a sub, you just leave something easy for the sub. Well, this is pretty easy, but it's still not, fluff.